This is one pro tip for every tank to instantly start solo carrying your games. With these tips, you won't just stop inting, but you'll start actively winning games for your team. Team fights are completely up to you when you know exactly how to use your tanks. Even if your team is the worst you've ever seen, these tips will help you win team fights no matter how much your team drags you down. So let's get right into the video. If you're looking for more videos, guides, and VOD reviews like this, try using the link below to get a GameLeap subscription. Guides, VOD reviews, walkthroughs, lessons, it's all there to help you excel at any character and at any style of play. There's already a massive library of resources there with many more to come. So check it out. Let's start with D.Va. Less defense matrix, more quad cannons. D.Va is usually all about defense matrix. You use boosters so you can defense matrix. You take corners by using defense matrix. You kite by using defense matrix. You can cancel ults by, yes, we get it. Defense matrix is just a crazy ability. So when you're playing D.Va, you want to play to get max value out of it. But now with the introduction of Larry and a high damage heavy meta, focus on just blasting your enemies full of lead, then using your matrix to stabilize after you lose your armor, or even better to eat the heals coming from their backline to get even more value across your entire kit. Even though Larry's not a must pick, her secondary fire still heals through D.Va's defense matrix. But as D.Va, you can still do really effective damage that will out damage her heals within 10 meters. There's multiple reasons why you should just be DPSing a little bit more this season. Doomfist struggles to engage without follow-up, and you can't trust every teammate you come across. So make your own follow-up by brutally focusing on building your ultimate. Doomfist builds ultimate really fast. In the entire game, he's the 8th fastest. The only ones faster than him include Tracer Pulse Bomb and D.Va's Call Mech. It's really good. With your ultimate, you have a get out of jail free card, but that's not what we're going to be using it for. When you have your ultimate, all you have to do is build your power block, easy in this meta, slam, punch, instantly meteor strike, just to land, punch, and slam again, weaving your primary fire as much as you can. But the important thing is you want to pummel people down as much as you can with one big engage. Even if you're not playing perfectly, if you play the poke phase right, you'll be getting your ultimate every other fight. When you have your ult as Doomfist, you can just become the one-man army he's supposed to be. Now onto Queen. Just dominate the tank matchup. Queen is a strong tank killer. Only Zarya and Orisa have an advantageous matchup into her, and you can overcome that with smart positioning and timing. More shooting head, less slashing the tank. Every slash you try to make on Orisa or Zarya will get spun, speared, or bubbled. You're not going to hit it, and you're going to leave yourself open to be punished. Abuse the small hitbox you have and the fat single-shot scattergun. You have to play corners and blast heads, forcing cooldowns without using any of your own. Save your slash for the mid to late fight, be super patient with it, since if anyone actually wants to kill you, you can use your shout and slash after they committed their cooldowns to run you down, and instantly start healing for 80. Against anyone other than Orisa and Zarya, look to mark the enemy tank as much as you can. This will put massive pressure on them, and you can easily peel your backline if they get focused instead. Shout is still pretty good at keeping your backline alive. And obviously, use it aggressively, fight those tanks, then you can get on backline, but definitely mess up that tank as much as you can. Queen is still pretty good at killing backline though, so for those games where you're playing against either a hard-pocketed tank you cannot possibly kill, or one who's just playing away from you, go for that backline instead. Let's move on to the menace of ranked right now, Orisa. Not only will this tip help you solo carry games as Orisa, but you might actually have fun while doing it, even if that fun only comes from just winning the game. For Orisa, you need to get your APM up, and APM stands for actions per minute. Do not be fooled into thinking that Orisa is boring. She is literally the TikTok Subway Surfer skibidi toilet hero who is always doing something. It's just about managing your resources right. Start peeking aggressively for long periods of time. Play for your primary fire, tracking as hard as you can. Shooting up until you almost overheat, then throwing a spear at someone you can fit into the wall. Then keep shooting until you almost overheat again. Because you have visual and audio cue for when you start to overheat, fall back into cover if you're getting close to it, and don't have a spear to keep up the pressure. But otherwise, you can use your spin to keep peeking and keep people's attention while your heat dies down and you rinse and repeat. Get the damage down the range. It's so important even though Orisa is a tank. Orisa is unkillable, it's true, but to truly carry, you gotta get those damage numbers up and start lasering down the front line. Ramattra. Ramatra's struggling pretty hard in the current meta, even though he's a good brawl tank. But he has what no other tank has, a slow on cooldown. His block is also pretty good. Please use it. Ramatra's Ravenous Vortex might seem lackluster, but you have to remember that most movement abilities get completely messed up by the high gravity effect. Catching heroes like Winston, Bap, or Genji either means a massive pick or all of their cooldowns forced, not just some. Make sure to not throw it away before the fight since it's very important to have it ready when you can punish someone's aggression or position. Now for Reinhardt. With no Zarya or D.Va to help you into battle anymore, the only friend you have left is Lucio. But without Lucio, how do we cross space? Just like Cloudy, use your pin super dynamically, crossing space and forcing the enemy team to contest you, or just let you slowly creep up on an off angle to get massive damage and even more kills. Just remember not to get too lost in the sauce, even for the charge kill. Your shield is still really important to the kit. It is your most valuable cooldown that you need to manage properly. Soaking damage for your team, getting you out of a position, it's all about that intention bait and getting you into the fight in the first place. Roadhog. You might think I've got nothing for Roadhog, but I am telling you right now I have got something big for Roadhog. You think Hog is the worst tank in the game? Well, he is. But every tank in Overwatch 2 has at least some massive strength they can abuse, and for Roadhog, that's his trusty self-heal, which has now been power creeped to give you a healing boost for 2.5 seconds after it successfully completes, which is most of the time. The healing boost is exactly the same as an Enanade, and for a little over half its duration, that is super strong considering you've already healed for 350 if it completes. Now, it may seem that you get no advantage from feeding your brains out and never taking any actual space, but the biggest thing people overlook about Roadhog is his ultimate, and his support's ultimate. Whole Hog is legitimately a top 10 ability in the game. It can zone entire objectives to the point of C9, it can obliterate tanks, it's one of the only things that reliably kills Orisa and Fortify, who's really good right now, and now that you can heal and hook while channeling it, it can't be stunned. Needless to say, his vape isn't the only thing that's been power creeped. One thing that wins more Overwatch games than anything else is just ultimate use. If you have more Qs than the enemy team, you are going to win most fights. It's a free ticket if you play correctly. And Roadhog, funny enough, is really good at building ultimate for himself and his team. His ultimate is really underrated. Sigma. Sigma is really strong for many different reasons, but one of his strongest points is as primary fire. It is one of the best in the game. There's a reason that when Sigma is played, he gets massive amounts of damage, and it's not just because of his flux. As soon as you start reliably hitting shots on Sigma, on the enemy tank or on the backline, you will truly become Sigma. You will feel the power of hitting every shot. It feels cinematic, and it deals absolutely massive damage numbers. Sigma has the potential to beat every squishy in a duel. He is that strong. If you're struggling to hit your shots, treat the shots as more of a short tracking rather than flicking. Just like Tracer only has to track for a short time before reloading. Big man himself, Winston. Tally up another win for the Build Your Ultimate squad. Winston struggles greatly to commit into Bastion comps. So instead of waiting for the perfect engage, spend time in the front line, taking damage for your team supports and dealing damage for your own primal with your right click. Make sure to prioritize squishies over tanks with your right click to get the most ult charge. Leap from high ground to high ground when you can to keep pressuring angles until you can eventually get more greedy and commit harder onto isolated targets. This isn't a new strategy. It's been played a lot of times when Winston has to play into comps that are just war crime tribunal level. When you do play into comps that have less crazy heavy defense and crazy peel, that's when you go fast. But until then, play slow, build those ultimates, wreck them with those ultimates. And spend some time grinding primals. Just like Sigma's aim, it's a true art form of mechanical skill. We're not building the ultimate to jump in and then primal for life. Get some kills while you're at it. Wrecking ball. Carrying with ball is two things, slamming and forcing point. If you can't slam without dying, force point. You can't force point anymore, slam. Rinse and repeat, and remember to live for as long as possible. As long as you are alive, the enemy can never rest. There will always be a rat demon in their backline. This works best on payload maps, but control maps work as well. The only exception to this is when the team is playing on the point, like for example in Nepal Village. You want to play angles, boop in, but not slam, and then commit when all your team's pieces come together. Finally, Zarya. Use only self bubbles, short and sweet. I am not kidding. Unless you have an ultimate combo coming up like a Blade or a Blossom, there's no reason to not bubble yourself. Obviously, when you're worried about an ultimate coming in, you save a bubble to, bubble your Ana who gets pulse bombed or pressured by a Blade. But when it comes to the front line, nobody can build charge for you better than you can. If you've got a friendly Reaper, it changes things, but he's probably around the only character who can really get value out of it. Even Genji doesn't build that much charge, even though it helps go for the engage. Manage your bubbles, really sweat, toe the line between being really aggressive and really passive, so you bait damage onto yourself and keep yourself in effective range to keep the damage on the front line. Grab is still a really good ultimate. These pro tips are tried and tested. It's all based off of old ways to play new heroes and new ways to play old heroes. You want to play ranked for the thrill of competition and victory, so get in there and do your best.